We're live. Thanks for coming over. And, you know, this part of what I wanted to do the second time around was just make my release a little bit more, put a little bit more effort into the release part. You put the more out of just practice of marketing and launching and trying to just build a little hype.
Yeah.
So part of that is, getting the album cover art done, and then maybe, putting up some songs, little sample songs here and there. And then this is also part of it, just doing like a little conversation, because although I said a lot on the project, there's a lot of words on there. Sometimes thoughts get condensed down, and you don't, there's some of the nuance does get lost. So
there's definitely a lot of little gems in there where I was like, oh, what does that mean? And but then it just keeps going, it keeps flowing. So
yeah,
I think there was a lot of content, but there was a lot of left up to your own interpretation too. I think that's how I felt I could take the words that you were saying and apply them to my life.
Yeah. Did you? Okay, so you felt like there are a lot of little things in there that left you wondering.
Yeah, wondering, or even just like encouraged, to see that you're so actively pursuing life, and over these last few years, yeah, and I'm excited that I've noticed you have been putting more into the release, because it seems I didn't know you back when you released the first album. But it doesn't seem like you did as much. Is that true?
Yeah, I didn't, because it was it was more like a mixtape. All the beats were stolen from YouTube, so I couldn't put it on Spotify or any platforms. So that was, and then the other thing was just first time around. You just want to get the music out,
and if you become famous, then that's that's great.
I did have some like fantasies, like what if like some random like kid in Europe like found this on SoundCloud, and then like he passed it around his school or something. And like that I think I had just watched the movie I think Finding Sugarman. Have you heard of that movie?
No,
a documentary?
No.
Dude, it's this folk singer from Detroit, and it's a true story.
Okay.
But he had struggled his whole life. He was always a musician, and he had cut some records, and I think it's like the 60s maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I recognize the name, but not the movie.
Okay. Yeah, and somehow like his music made it across into Africa, and he got like Justin Bieber level famous in Africa.
That's awesome.
But he never knew it, and then somehow, like, as fate would have it, then the word got to him that he was famous, and then he did some shows over there, but he didn't like go and live there. He's anyways, yeah. All that to say, it's kind of fun to dream about like what would happen if something went viral, or like I struck a chord with people, but that's not really my intent at all. My intent with this is definitely, as I said in the beginning, to some words of wisdom to my grandchildren.
Yeah.
And I don't even have a girlfriend right now, but I think that I want to say that in like as a statement of faith, that I have faith that I'm gonna find my perfect wife for me. Yeah. And then we're going to have beautiful children, and then they're going to find their perfect mates, and they're going to have, it's like, I believe that that's going to happen. And so I'm going to put it out there. And I think it's important, like, now I've lost 3 out of my 4 grandparents, and it's like, how incredible would it have been if I'd gotten in, like, to a little sneak peek into what any of their lives were like when they were, 29, 30.
Right.
So that's what I'm doing it for, kind of that legacy rap.
Yeah, something so vulnerable too. I feel like I've never gotten that from any of my grandparents, to see just like yeah, just like a page of their diary from when they were my age. You know, they can tell the stories, but there's something different about telling it when you're in that moment, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I always want to be able to relate. Like I want
Yeah.
to I want to relate to older people. I want to relate to younger people. I want to I don't ever want to get to like that point where I'm just like the old man that I look back with either like rose colored glasses, or I just say like pull yourself up by your bootstraps, work harder. Like life is nuanced,
Right.
and I want to be able to connect at a heart level and like hear what they're going through, and
Right.
then let whatever I say back to them. Um, I want my words to carry weight,
Yeah.
I suppose. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely see. I mean, I think that was one of the things you did say in the album was you repeated a few times that you want to relate to struggle,
Yeah. Right.
relate to hardship.
Yeah. These last 2 years, I think everybody's gone through some sort of hardship, and I that walk third track walking is my testimony, and when I released Everyday Fight 2 or 3 years ago, at this point 3 years ago, that was kind of the end of a chapter for my life of when I went to Milwaukee after coming back from traveling and trying to kind of figure out, okay, how do I reintegrate into society and actually build a career and stuff. And it just felt like that story was unfinished because I come back to Minneapolis and there was still more. I get involved in Substance Church, and there was a lot more spiritual growth that had to happen and maturing that had to happen. And so that I hesitated for a second because like, I don't want to dip back into past of like, well, I already covered this kind of on Everyday Fight, but it's like, no, this is the 4-part series, the 4-part story right here. And yeah.
Do you feel like in this album you were able to overcome, like as you were writing something down to put in the album, overcome those thoughts in your head of, are people going to like this? Am I able as a Christian to swear in this album? Like, or, are non-Christians going to accept me talking about God? Like, how do you feel like you did overcoming those pressures?
Yeah, that's a good question. One of the little fears in the back of my mind is be like, this project it's too culture for Christian and too Christian for culture. I'm gonna be shunned by both. I'm gonna have no friends except for Josiah here. No, here's what I think. I intended it to be a clean album. I started by writing. I intended it to be completely clean. But I drop one F-bomb and I drop a couple shits. And like the F-bomb was because it just carried the most emotion, and that's how I felt. And life is it's not rated PG.
Right.
At times life is rated R.
Yeah.
And like let's not pretend, let's not try to make it Disney. Like it is what it is. And that's how I felt, and that's how a lot of people feel. And so, when they go through hard times, and that should, language should for sure, your words carry weight. Your words, some power of life and death in the tongue. But your tongue is the rudder for life. There's a lot of like scripture that talk about it, but I don't know. I'm at peace with it. Like, I'm not perfect, and I'm not trying to be like some holier than thou Christian. I am who I am. When I'm with friends, sometimes I swear. I try not to. Sometimes I do.
Yeah.
And I just want this project to be authentic, and I want it to be me. And you know what? Maybe a year from now, maybe 5 years from now, I put out a project and I'm in a different space, and it's completely clean,
Right.
But this is where I'm at right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was the authenticity was more your focus than living up to some where you thought, maybe you wanted to be or should be.
Yeah. And I'm just trying to connect with people. You know, I'm just trying to connect with I don't know, everyday people, and a lot of people don't go to church, and a lot of people don't care if they're swearing. So I don't know, like I'm just not that hung up on that.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talked about production a little bit earlier. How was this album different from your last one in terms of not using beats from YouTube? And I mean, I listened through it, and usually if like a friend or something gives me something to listen to, the first thing I'm listening for is like audio, like how does the quality of the mixing sound?
Mm-hmm.
And I finished your album, then I was like, oh, I kind of forgot to do that because I thought it felt smooth. It came off clean.
Wow. Dude, that's probably my biggest self-conscious piece of the whole project is like audio quality.
Yeah.
I for some reason I can't get to that, like there's another level that I haven't quite unlocked yet.
Yeah.
There's another level, and I don't know if it's within like the recording, if it's the mic. I think it's in the how I edit, but for the most part I'm happy. It pardon me. Yeah, I recorded on this online program called Soundtrap. That's very similar to GarageBand.
Okay.
And then I was like, my friend uses Adobe Audition, and I have the Adobe Suite. So like, let me try that out. So I started dabbling in that. So I did 2 songs on the Soundtrap, and then 3 songs on the Adobe Audition. And I do like an Audition. You can tune it up better. Yeah, so I think I could have, I got it to as far as I could at this point.
Yeah.
You can always like try to tweak things, but yeah, that production, that editing part is so finicky, and it's so tedious, and the amount of track 5, February 5th, version 2, version 3, or version 4, version 5, you know what I mean? Like by the end of it, the folder that I uploaded to DistroKid, I probably had, I don't know, 20 different final versions of the song,
Final versions.
or like, version 20, but
yeah.
Like by the time it was all said and done, it took a while, and at some point I was so sick of it, but yeah, I think that was cool. Using BeatStars to find beats.
Okay.
It's just something fun, like you're making an original project. You're not ripping off, famous songs. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used whatever, the Shure microphone wrapped in my parents' closet because they were down in Florida for the last month and a half, or Arizona for the last month and a half.
Yeah.
And so that's been the bulk. I think almost all the recording happened in the last month and a half. Yeah. So
really, wow.
Yeah. So I was on it.
Did anyone else help with the project, or was it all you?
It was all me.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's gotta be a good
start
feeling.
To finish.
Yeah.
I thought about bringing other people in to do album artwork, or just some other little things here, editing. I thought about outsourcing the edits. Like, yeah, you know what? I'll just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. That's.
Yeah. I could see where like having an audio engineer would be super nice, super time, but it costs money. It's like, right. This is not earning me money, yeah, so right. Let's not spend any more than necessary.
That's true.
Yeah. So.
With so you quit drinking for a while. You got off social media. I remember coming over here. You had like goals written all over the boards, and so it seemed like that was kind of like almost like a reset. Like, what was that?
Yeah, my girlfriend and I broke up, and that was difficult. And social media was just a place where I kept getting reminded of her, and it was. I think any breakup is hard.
Yeah.
Like, I think if anyone's gone through a breakup, which most people have, it's hard. And so that was like the main driver behind social media. And then drinking I've kind of dabbled with like doing sober October and dry January and stuff like that. But I also, that would just kind of make me sad when I drank. And then, that was right during the pandemic that it kind of all happened, like, April, May timeframe of 2020. And then I'd lost my job. I had run into a fence playing softball full speed, caught the ball, but not worth it. So my knee was like super banged. So I was really banged up. Break up. I got fired from my job. Like, I was just kind of like down and out, And I was like, well, maybe I should stop drinking.
Yeah.
Because this is not helping. Like this is not helping. And so it happened random day. I don't know. I was with a couple buddies the night before, happy hour, woke up super hungover from like a couple beers. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, what am I doing? Parents took me out to lunch just to say, just whatever. I was in a terrible mood. And like, I was like, I'm done. And so from then on, 16 months go by, and now I've dabbled here and there. I broke my 16-month run at a wedding.
Yeah.
And I didn't get like wasted or anything, but it was just celebration. And I had a couple, and that was good. You know what? It was like a season. And actually, when I did that, it was kind of like on to the next season. It was like the start of a next season.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now my relationship with alcohol is completely different. I like it, but I hate what it does to me.
Yeah. You don't like the almost even just like the relaxation that it gives your mind.
No, not really, because like they say, there's no free lunch in nature. And that relaxation that I get for about 30 minutes or whatever, I feel the consequence of it. I feel the consequence either later on in the night or the next day.
Yeah.
And it's just, life is way too short to be hungover.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
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 Are there any things that you would want people to know or understand about the album that you're like, you have this verse and you're like, I hope they interpret that the right way? And that, were there any parts in it that you maybe just want people to get where you're coming from in it, or what you're actually trying to say? Or do you like leaving some of the things up to interpretation?
Yeah, that's good. Well, the one that kept me up at night, and we've already touched on it, was coming out with like the first line off, "Genius level EQ is a blessing and a curse." I don't want to come off as pompous. Like, I don't. It just, the line just worked, okay?
Yeah.
And I tried to rework the line. I was like, whatever, screw it. I like looked up, like, what does EQ mean? What does it mean to have a genius level EQ? I was like, it's like 140 or above. I was like, should I take a quick EQ test?
Take a test.
But so I hope that doesn't rub people the wrong way. Let's see what else. I think the third verse in that song too, like just like lying awake at night. I just feel like I can't be the only one that has that little voice that just is saying you can't do it. Like, it happens to me late at night.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're not good enough. Everything that you're working towards is meaningless. Like, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
And in the past, I didn't have the tools to fight against it. I didn't have the knowledge. And now that voice still comes, but I got some spiritual power of my own, some weapons I can start harnessing and doing battle with it.
Yeah.
And more times than not, I defeat that voice and I get back to sleep and I find peace, and like Jesus comes through in a real way. But it's just the whole project like if somebody says, "Oh, that's too spiritual," or "There's too much faith talk," or "too much about Christianity," like, well, this has been my life for about the last 3 years. Is this foundation, and it's not just a piece of my life. When I grew up, church and Christianity, it was a Sunday thing. I checked the box. I go home. I watch the Vikings game. It wasn't a part of me, and I'm glad that those seeds were planted. It's no knock against anyone or anything. It's just I just wasn't receiving it like, I don't know, I could have or should have or whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I made faith my own about 3 years ago, and and that was the conversion of. And not to say I didn't believe in God before 3 years ago. I think I've believed in God for a long time, but 3 years ago, I decided that I believed and I surrendered my life that Jesus is God, and believing in God just isn't enough. I need to start walking with Jesus, and I need to give him my life in a real way.
Yeah.
And make sacrifices. And that's where, so all that being said, I guess I hope people just pick up that I'm not necessarily trying to convince anybody of anything. I'm trying to be open about how when I made a change, my life changed for the better.
Yeah.
And now I was, I got at that one of those low points. Now I own my own business. I'm doing pretty well. The business is doing well. It's sustainable. I'm happy. I'm fit, whatever, like all these things. I'm healthy. It's like, it's amazing how your life can just turn around real quick. Not like real quick, but in the grand scheme of things, pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like on a day-to-day, days are slow, years are fast, as they say. So it's like 2 years. I mean, damn, a lot has happened.
Yeah.
And now it's just,
Yeah.
so that's where I'm coming in, like the power of the mind, man. I guess that's a line. When I said, all these new age spiritualists, all about manifesting, me, I keep it classic. I'm praying for a blessing. Here's the thing. I'm not against manifestation. I'm not against, focusing on something, but what I am, I would always take a blessing over manifestation. And I think people think manifestations are some like magical woo-woo thing. I think it's just a power of focus. Like when you manifest something, it's like, I'm just really focused on it. And then you call that a manifestation. Now you can wish for something, and if it comes out of nowhere, well, I don't know what that is. I don't know what like blind wishing and hoping. I don't think that really works. Like I can wish to win the lottery. It's not going to happen. Maybe everyone in the world wishes they're going to win the lottery. It happens for one person.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
it's not a non-zero thing, but it's not going to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, manifestation and the power of the mind, that's real. But that to me, that's the power of focus. And I was thinking about this, like, okay, so that's that. What's a blessing? And to me, a blessing is like a gift from God. And a gift from God is so much better than anything that I can imagine or create myself.
Yeah.
I think there's certain things that it is good to focus on, and if you want to call it manifestation, okay, go for it. But like, yeah, the power of focus is great, but like a blessing that's a whole nother tier.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I see it.
Yeah. What in this album, what parts of it are manifested and what parts are blessings?
This is gonna sound cliche or kind of cheesy. Anytime I write a full 16 bars, I feel like that's a blessing.
Yeah.
Because there are times when you sit down and it doesn't come, and it's just like this existential pain, man. Like,
yeah.
Why can't I write something? Like, where is my creative juice? Where is it?
Yeah. I'm in that space right now.
Yeah. And it's painful.
Yeah.
But that is part of the process.
Right.
It is part of the process. I think like for me, so for that, okay, I would say manifestation or just power of focus of this project was I broke down into different steps. I'm okay. How many songs do I want? At first it was 7, it came down to 5. Okay, so 5 songs. Okay, each song has 3 verses. Okay, so that's 15 verses. Okay, how long does it take for me to write a verse? Usually about an hour and a half. Hour and a half. Okay. How many of those hour and a half sessions will I need to get one verse because of that existential pain that we go through?
Yeah.
2.5, something like that, to be safe. So it's like, okay, so say 2. So I need 30 writing sessions at an hour and a half, 45 hours. I need 45 hours of writing to get the blessing. That's kind of the difference.
Yeah.
I guess that's how I broke it down. And then I did that too for recording. It's like, how long does it take to record a song? 5-6 hours, 5 hours or so. It's like, okay, how many recording sessions? Well, I'm doing 5 songs. Probably won't get it all done. Let's say like 7 or 8 recording sessions. So I guess that's where, yeah, it took hard work to actually get the project across the line and finish it. And I'm at peace because, listen, my writing, my rapping, all of it, it's not like it's by no means top notch. It is my story, so I'm happy about that. But also part of what I've learned just doing my own business, it's not about how good you are. Like it's really, your talent is about 60%, I'd say. Yeah. And the other 40% is execution.
Yeah.
And you just have to execute, and that's a skill in itself.
Yeah. The
discipline to execute and finish a project or just finish a verse or finish a song. So many songs on there were like, this is probably good at 2 verses. I don't really want to write a third. It needs a third. It needs a hook.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and how many people out there have that just elite level talent but don't have the execution? It's, know, it's insane.
Yeah, you see it in sports all the time. I mean, that's the easiest, but I think it's universal.
Right.
So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. What's so you said you're kind of in a writer's block right now?
Yeah, I'd say I think it's mostly just, if I really look at it, it's me not creating the space for the writing to happen, It's I'm watching TV. I'm not, sitting in my room writing, or I think it's a lot of times just creating that space.
Yeah.
And then, if you're in the right mindset, you've exercised for the day, it's if you've done all this stuff, then magically, it's not magical, it's you put in the pre-work, you're living a healthy life, and then it comes out, I think. And I think, I just need to get myself in the right space.
Yeah.
And then do it.
Yeah. Right. That's so on the money though. It is what you're doing prior to. It's what you're eating. I scheduled my writing sessions for right after the gym. So I'd block those too. It'd be like, okay, 5:00 at the gym, 7:00 I'm writing.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're just in a better mood. Your brain's firing better. I tried to write the other day and it was nothing. And then I wrote the following day. It was flowing. It was like, well, the difference was I wasn't tired. I wasn't trying to force it. So it's, writing from a full cup. I think that's important.
Right.
Yeah, man. It's something like, I'm not sure if we talked about it or not, but I mentioned it in the first song. I feel like as we get older, and I know things happen, like the responsibilities get added to your plate. People have kids, relationships, money issues, work, yada, yada, yada. It goes on and on. You can make up all the excuses you want, but I feel like hobbies are just absolutely necessary to live a fulfilled life.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be music. It can be, there's somebody said if you work during the day, if you work during the day with your mind, your hobby should be with your hands, and vice versa. Yeah, that's good. I think mine is a little bit kind of the same, as I make videos and then I make raps, but I think just some form of original self-expression is just, we all live unique lives, and if you don't capture some thoughts, we all have these unique thoughts and unique experiences, and it's just a shame if they never get shared.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, it's just, there's so many lessons to be learned from other people, and yeah, so that's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to share some things, capture a little bit of life, you know. Yeah. That's it. I hope this inspires somebody. Even if it changes just one person, 1% of their trajectory.
Yeah.
Like, it's worth it. That right there is worth it for me.
Yeah.
Because listen, I'm in, like, when I think about like listenership, I'm in the tens, you know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be one of those Spotify artists who had like three monthly listeners, and it'd probably be all me, you know, or my mom or somebody. I don't know. So I don't have any grand illusions, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I think about my roles in this life, or my titles, I should say. You know, son, brother, friend, business owner. You go through all of them. I actually have quite a bit of contact with a lot of random people.
Yeah.
And I don't know who might, click on this link and say, "Oh, okay, what's this project by Danny?" Like, it might affect somebody that I'll never know anything about it, and might affect nobody, but it's at least worth putting out there. And yeah, and also it's just getting outside. This is outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like the spotlight, as like we're having a conversation with, cameras on us. I do it because I want to use my voice, and I don't want to live in fear of using my voice.
Right.
I want to be able to stand up and say things and share things that have happened to me, and also just share the human condition of, listen, like, I come from a good childhood. I come from a great upbringing. I went to college. On paper, a lot of good things have happened. It doesn't mean that your life is just going to be easy because of that. I think, and if it is easy the whole time, well, you probably like haven't really tested yourself, and you haven't, like, struggle is a beautiful thing to be able to grow from it. And yeah, so all that to say that this is outside of my comfort zone to put this out for everyone to just kind of get a glimpse into, okay, so what's Danny been up to, But I think, I don't know. I guess I just got self-esteem. My parents did a good job. They boosted me with self-esteem. They said, you have a voice and it matters. Maybe that's where this all stems from. I'm not quite sure, but I just feel like I want to be heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it definitely, the main thing the album has for it is that it has that power, I think, to know whoever hears it, if it's a million or 10, it has the ability to connect. I think people can relate to it. And because that's a lot of times the things that people aren't saying are the things that they're like, no one else feels this way. No one else is laying up at night and feeling like they have these voices in their head saying they can't do it. And a lot of times, though, those are the things that everyone is experiencing.
Right.
And I think that's, there's almost an obligation to speak up and say those things.
Like, we think about the future, we envision what we want our life to be, and in our mind's eye, it's very pretty. It all just kind of works. We're sitting, with our, significant other on a beach somewhere, looking at the sunset. It's like, At least that's in my mind's eye, you know. It would, after like a day of surfing or something, and like that's beautiful. But to get there, it's gonna be messy, and it's like we can't treat the future so idealistic. You just gotta like do something and just put something out, and that's how I feel with this project. Is it's not great. I mean, I think it's good. It's good for me, but like, it's about progression. And like I say in the album, I'm going till 100. You know, like I've come to terms. This is something I love to do. You know, I love to write. I love to write raps. So why not just embrace it? And if I'm going till 100, then I got 70 more years to work at this craft. And it'll get better. You know, I'd like to think 70 years of, you know, practice, I'll be somewhere at least better than I am now. I'll have some good content too, hopefully, if I live 100 years.
Yeah, you'll have lots of wisdom.
Yeah, so. Oh, that was the only other thing. I want to share what Coming to Terms, why.
Why the name? Yeah,
the Coming to Terms name. And I didn't quite understand why. This is kind of like a blessing that I got the name. Like, it just kind of, I didn't know why it worked, but why it felt right. But I'm coming to terms with my past and how I used to live and how I'm not really proud of it. I accept it and I'm grateful for it. And it's, you know, it is what it is. I've come to terms. I've done things in the past that I needed forgiveness for. And I've come to terms that Jesus died on the cross for my forgiveness. And I need to stop living in the past. And I need to start dreaming about the future again. And that comes with a lot of things. I think we get stuck in the past of how things used to be. Melancholy brings you down. It's like, man, yes, that is true. But the future can be bright and the future can be better. So I've come to terms that I think the future is better. The future is brighter. And also that there's certain things that you need to do, certain ways to live a lifestyle, disciplines that you need to institute if you want to get to a brighter future. You can't keep doing what you were doing and expect a brighter future. Yeah. There has to be changes. Yeah. And that's where, you know, I've made changes. And then also just like the third kind of triple entendre of it was like coming to terms of like the last 2 years of business. Like business is all about, you know, negotiations and coming to terms. Like, what's the deal? Like, where are we meeting? How are we going to get this done? Have we come to terms yet? Okay. Yes. Okay. Deal is done. Let's do it. It's like, that's been a big part of my life. It has been running my own business here and getting that off the ground and just learning these kind of business nuances and just coming to terms. And so yeah, I just like it. A couple syllables and it just felt right. Just coming to terms, man. I'm coming to terms.
It fits the album well.
Yeah,
it does.
Josiah, thanks for doing this conversation.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Any final thoughts from you?
I'm excited to see it roll out, and I think you'll have more than 10 people listen to it. Nice. I think people are gonna love it.
Appreciate that. Thank you, man.